Here's some homework problems from section 2-1. On problem number 1 it says find f of g and also f of f for these functions. On 1 the functions are f of x equals x squared and g of x equals x minus 1. F of g of x means put the g of x function, x minus 1 in this case, into the x on the f of x function. So in other words, replace that x right there with x minus 1 and you would have x minus 1 squared. Then you could FOIL that out or use a poly sheet to expand it and you would get x squared minus 2x plus 1. F of x, you can write it like this, means take the x squared and replace it back in for the x. So you would have x squared squared, or x to the 4th. Here's problem 3. F of x equals 3x plus 5 and g of x equals 5 minus x. F of g of x means put the g of x function, 5 minus x, in there for x. So it would be 3 times the quantity, 5 minus x, plus 5. And then you could just distribute it through and combine like terms. F of x means take the 3x plus 5 and put it right back in here for the x. So it would be 3 times the quantity, 3x plus 5, and continuing out plus 5, and again distribute through to get the simplified version of it. On 5, you want to find f of g and g of f. F of g of x, okay, take the g of x function and put it right in here for the x, and it would be the square root of x squared plus 4. G of f of x means take the f of x function and substitute it in here, so it would be the square root of x plus 4, and then that gets squared. Square and the square root cancels out, so you just get x plus 4. On 7, here are the two functions, and f of g of x, that means taking the g of x and substituting it in there for x. So it would be 1/3 times that g of x, 3x plus 1, minus 3. Taking the 1/3 through, 1/3 times 3x is x, and 1/3 times 1 is 1/3, and then minus the 3. And if you do 1/3 minus 3, which is 9/3, you would get minus 8/3. So you get x minus 8/3. That's that one simplified. Then g of f of x means take the f of x and substitute it right in here. So it would be 3 times the 1/3 x minus 3 plus 1. And I think I was missing that bit right there. So again, it would be 3 times this quantity, 1/3 x minus 3, then plus 1. So let me add that right here. Plus 1. And then distributing that through, 3 times 1/3 x is x. 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. Plus the 1 more makes minus 8. So there's what that one gives you, x minus 8 simplified. 9, square root of x, if you substitute that in for the x on the other square root of x, you get the square root of the square root of x or the 4th root of x, and g of f of x would give you the exact same thing. 11, f of g of x means put the g of x right here, the x plus 6 in there for x, so it would be the absolute value of x plus 6, and g of f of x means put the absolute value of x in for x, so it would be the absolute value of x, then plus 6. So that would be 11. Let's do 12 here while we're here. F of g of x would be f of g of x means put the g of x, x to the 6 in there for x. It would be x to the 6 raised to the 2/3. X to the 6 raised to the 2/3. And when you have powers raised to powers, you multiply. And when you take 6 times 2/3, well, 2/3 of 6 is actually 4. So that would give you x to the 4th. And g of f of x would give you the same thing. On 13, it says the number of bacteria is given by this function right here. And then where T, capital T is the temperature, N is the number of bacteria. And then when the food is removed, the temperature, capital T, is given by this function. Capital T of little t equals 3t plus 1. Little t is the time in hours. It says find the composite function. So basically right here, t of little t is capital T equals 3t, 3 little t plus 1. So if capital T equals 3 times little t plus 1, you can replace the capital T here with the 3t plus 1. So replacing the capital T with 3 times little t plus 1, everywhere there's a capital T, it would be 10 times 3t plus 1. That gets squared because this capital T is squared, minus 20t, minus 20, what's capital T? This stuff right here, 3t plus 1, and then finishing off plus 600. Now simplify this thing. Now to simplify this by hand, you'd have to take this thing and FOIL together, then distribute the 10 through, distribute the minus 20 through, and combine like terms. Or you can go to the poly sheet, and I'm on the poly sheet near the bottom, and you can put in your coefficients right here, as I did. Okay, so you put those coefficients in, and that automatically simplifies it down to 90x squared plus 590. So that's what it simplifies to, 90x squared plus 590. Then you can click this to copy it over to the quadratic sheet, and you can answer anything you want on this. For example, this wanted to know on this problem, let me find it here. This problem wanted to know when will the bacteria count reach 1500. Okay, so all we have to do is put 1500 in for the y. It's telling me the number of bacteria, that's the dependent variable. So put 1500 in for y right down here. If I put 1500 in for y, I get two answers. I guess really the only one that makes sense is the positive one. So it will be bacteria count will be 1500 in 3.18 hours, and it's hours, not a temperature thing, because now see the equation is in terms of little t for time. So it'll be about 3.18, I think it was, hours. And 14 is really about the same thing as the last one. Then 15, it gives you a c of x and an x of t. And this one says the weekly cost producing X units in a manufacturing process is given by this. So this is the cost in terms of X, the number of units. And then the number of units produced is based on the number of hours. So X is the number of units produced based on T hours. So X equals 50T. So basically, you know, in 1 hour, 1 times 50 would be 50 units produced. In 2 hours, 2 times 50 is 100 units produced. Well, like when this is 2 hours, 2 times 50 is 100 units produced, and you can put the 100 in here. 100 times 60 plus 750 would give you the cost. So instead of doing that, you can just composite them together. You can take the x of t, 50t, and substitute it in there for x. So that would be c of x of t is equal to 60 times what's x? 50t. 60 times 50t plus 750. Simplifying this, you get 3000t plus 750. And what does this give you? Well, this gives you the cost in terms of the time. And then on 17, they want you to composite. On 17, they want you to composite the thing together several times with itself. So on this one, f of x equals negative 3x plus 2, and they want you to find f of x, f of f of x, or f to the third of x, and f to the fourth of x, which would be compositing it 4 times. So, and they also want you to get f of 0 and so on. So if f of x equals negative 3x plus 2, f of x means take the negative 3x plus 2 and substitute it in there for x. So it would be negative 3 times negative 3x plus 2 plus 2. Simplifying that, you'll get 9x minus 4, and if you want to know what f of 0 is, just plug the 0 in there and you get negative 4. f3 of x, or f of x, means substitute the f of x, this one, the 9x minus 4, into the original function. So it would be negative 3 times 9x minus 4 plus the 2 that remains. Simplify that, and you get negative 27x plus 14. What is it evaluated at 0? 14. And then finally the fourth one, well, you take the result of the last one, when you did it 3 times, and substitute it in. So it would be negative 3 times the result of the last one, negative 27x plus 14, finish it off, plus 2. Simplify it, you get 81x minus 40, and if you evaluate it at 0, you get negative 40. And that wraps up that section.